Hello, thanks for joining me again. Happy Friday. And tonight I wanted to go back into the vault and do some older pieces. I will be redoing the newest collection, the one I published earlier this year. I'm hoping to do that in a recorded setting with my musician friends who we did a version of it together just before the shutdown, and it went really well. So I'm hoping to pull that together again. And at that point, then I'll read everything from Crow at the Lawson Hotel, which is my latest. But I wanted to take a look at some older pieces. Here is the blue guitar. I think some folks might remember this. And the cover is by Mr. Greiner, Don Greiner. Remember this one, Don? Anyway, this issue came out, I think, in '92, but I refer to something going on in 1990. I should back up a little bit. I ran a little poetry journal called The Blue Guitar from 1989 to 1995. And I started it with the artist and poet Michael Landis, MP Landis. And Michael went off to become a great artist and impresario, and I ended up keeping it going. And I had the good fortune of publishing a lot of fine poets. In particular, in this issue, we have, of course, the graphic by Don, but also Jack Veazey, Aaron Yates Perry, Barbara Crooker, Lisa Yeager, Martina Espada, Lamont Steptoe, Robert Zoller, Lance Cluett, Gene Hosey, and myself. And I threw in a bunch of my own poems as I was putting this thing together. But anyway, thought I'd read one from the Blue Guitar. This was volume two, number 1. And this is called Stand and Be Counted. In the dark blue-green memory of our movable frontier feast, a group of refugees survived a winter near Plymouth Rock, and they were taught to plant corn by people, native people, who saved their lives. In gratitude, they murdered their hosts, took their land, their freedom. The killers were called Puritans, who purely hated their bodies and created methods of torture to punish the sinners of the flesh, and so, as one might expect, there was a righteous amount of torture in those bleak colonial days, and it comes as an unpleasant shock to see them creating stocks in 1990. The stocks are for painters and photographers. Poets are next. Stand and be counted. Don't sit idly and watch them put our neighbors into cattle cars bound for Puritan Station. Stand and be counted, because it's time we stopped the train. It's time we laid our bodies on the tracks. And this was not too long after the controversies involving the great photographer Robert Mapplethorpe. And locally, the photographer and writer Cecil Brooks. He was involved in that. Anyway, and another old piece, also from an old friend I haven't seen in a long time. This was an anthology of poems by the poet and musician Janet Pelham. It's called More Than Animals. And they're all animal-related pieces. This one came out in '94. Again, it's a pretty good selection of folks. Um, Among the people here are Michael Jennings, Carrie Keyes, Greg Chury, um, Lance Cluett, Denise Duhamel, Jack Veazey, C.A. Conrad, Paco, James Hoke, and Sean Ruby Drain, Michael Sarnecki. Lots of good folks in here. Anyway, this was my contribution to this piece. Um, and it's based on an event that happened and a dream that preceded it. And this is called Atonement. I had seen her before. She came trotting over to me across the wide avenue, night of hazy streetlight. She came smiling and nuzzled up against me as I was leaning against a tree, an oak, I believe. And she was a giant gray dog with the face of an angel. She smiled and said, quote, "My master says I belong to you now," unquote. Gray curly hair, like a halo around her black eyes. I awoke, puzzled. Another animal dream. Most never made sense, ever. Maybe pointing here or there, but no locking pieces. The dream burnt off in the hot morning sun of errands and chores. Driving back from a rare, pleasant visit to a bank. The flash of a doe leaping from the other side of the road. I saw and tried to move away, but smash! Backside window shattering and doe hair floating in my car. Front window cracked in the shape of a great spider web. Oh God. She lay still in the middle of the road. Many cars pulled over and someone dragged her off, her face covered with blood. Do you need an ambulance? I'll call the Humane Society. Voices from cars. Drove, limped the car back to the garage with doe hair stuck to my sweaty back and back to my house, home down to my knees. Forgive me, sister, for being the instrument of your suicide. I didn't see you coming. And your hair is in everything around me. One death hair pricked my finger. Is this what you mean by belonging? Just what exactly do I own? And it's a chilling experience. And like I said in the poem, that was one of the very few animal dreams that I've had that somehow came back. And now, this poem, also fairly famous for a period of time, is in large part, about a conversation my wife and I were having at the time. This would have been the early 90s. We'd only been together a few years. And my friend Terry Jones made a comment on one of my threads, and so I want to make sure Terry hears this poem. And it's from Street of Knives, my collection from 1993. And it's called Stigmata Funhouse Loyalty. You say, half kiddingly, "I'll cut your balls off if I catch you cheating. Put the knife away, baby. I am the original Stigmata Funhouse poster boy. The reflection of my image in a million eyes through the prism of every solitary brain, and I was the reflection of my father in my father's eyes. And my father is a loyal, dormant volcano nose to the whetstone mystic. But the mirror on his reflection was somehow concave. And I saw myself as a loyal, active volcano nose to the roses stiletto skeptic. In other eyes, I was a nice boy, my mother's son, my grandfather's too easy grandson, a twisted hippie just in a phase, liberal, agnostic, bad element, a Puerto Rican they didn't expect. A horny dog in disheveled clothing, never at ease in tasteful affairs. I was the reflection of reflections I thought I saw are part of my breathing now. I cherish promises and noble words, and I love beautiful things and beautiful bodies. But some of the world is sensorama, museum look, but don't touch, and I obey some of the rules. When the velvet temptation of sin, flesh, no, no, yes, yes, draws me close, the knowledge of my own love's exclusive greed, only you for only me, and the burn of the Catholic school stigmata straightens me out. I walk away successfully from the jaws of a damn good time, no doubt, and I could never hurt you. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to hurt you. Don't worry, my love. Don't worry. Put the knife away, baby. And one short one that was also written to her, about her. It's sort of a haiku, and it's called Away. Following the graceful lines of your back into the mirror. Away. Okay, and there's a bunch of old ones. And I think I'll end it there. Thanks for tuning in. And hopefully things will be, I'll have some good news to announce next Friday. Thanks. Be safe. Write poems. Love somebody. See ya.